Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Hollow Knight. We have some very tough stuff ahead of us today. So just be forewarned, you should expect a pretty heavy dose of editing, especially once we hit the meat of the episode. For now, we have a mostly tranquil walk in the gardens. Hate these boys, so I'm going to face tank pretty much all of them and just get through this very quickly instead of trying to deal with them as they hop around. Oh, they are very annoying to try to deal with. So a mostly tranquil walk in the gardens. We're on our way to get the very last grub. This did sort of turn into 112% run. And we do have a maze of Venus flytraps to navigate first. Good. There it is. And we get the achievement Metamorphosis. We're gonna see what that's all about at some point. And we get a preview of all these glowing white tendrils all over the place. Kind of similar to something that we saw in Kingdom's Edge. So I mentioned the 112%. The base game, you could 100% it, and what comprised the 100% were charms, the grubs, which were kind of secondary. Like, the grubs themselves don't count towards 100%, but they do in that... Is this Marmu? Yes, this is Marmu's area, so we're right near the stag station. I forgot my compass. Shouldn't be too necessary today. So what was I saying? The grubs themselves do not count as any kind of percentage, but for getting all the grubs you get a charm, which does count. So you would need to get all of them anyway, just for that 1%. I think the rest is, it's all 3 Colosseum trials, it's every boss including the dream ones, it's all the spells and their respective upgrades, your upgrades like the double jump and the super dash, the mask and the soul upgrades. You can find all the dreamers. 2400 essence, not just 1800 to awaken the dream nail. You actually need 2400 for that last bit of dialogue we got out of the seer. Whew, almost hit my head on the bramble twice. Do a pretty decent job of the platforming, which that bodes well for what's coming up. And then you also need all the nail arts and the nail upgrades. Then the Grim Troop DLC adds 6% more to the completion total through the Grim fights and all the charms. There's another 1% in the Lifeblood update because it added the Hive Knight boss. And then the remainder is the 4 out of the 5 Pantheons in the Godmaster DLC for 112% in all. And we're joined by our good friend Cloth for this part, after they seal us in. I can't believe I died to Traitor Lord. Now, to be fair, he does do some new stuff. I was not aware that this boy got updated too, along with like, Nosk. Ooh, hello. He followed the Gruzmother's blog and decided to try some new shit. Ooh, and some of it does double damage now. Which is, not great for us. It's a lot harder to just zerg this dude down now. Ah! Okay, no, I have to be careful. Oh. Damn it, right on the edge. Oh good, it's done. Rest in peace, Cloth. Very few characters get to have happy endings. Cloth is not really one of them. This is what she wanted, though. That body, Protect, the one slumped over out here, is the body of Drea, one of the knights. I sometimes mix up with the Grey Mourner, who is Zemare. And now it's time to meet the White Lady. Terrible name, but Queen of Hallownest. Oh, one arrives. Far it walks to find me. Did it seek my aid, or did the path carry it by chance to so pertinent a place? It's true. True that you were awaited. No, perhaps that's inaccurate. True, one like you was awaited. I have a gift held long for one of your kind, half of a whole. When united, great power is granted, and on the path ahead, great power it will need. And that is one half of the King's Soul. Face the gendered child. She's a fierce foe, strong in mind and body, striking reflection of her mother, though the two were permitted little time together. I never begrudged the worm's dalliance as bargain. In fact, I feel some affection for the creature birthed. If your paths were ever to align, I imagine you might gain yourself a powerful ally. Just talking about Hornet. Within my roots, the weakening of the vessel I plainly feel. Only two obvious outcomes there were. The first is inevitable on current course regression. All minds relinquished to that pernicious plague. The second I find preferable and would seek your aid in its occurrence. Replacement. I implore you, usurp the vessel. Its supposed strength was ill-judged. It was tarnished by an idea instilled, but you are free of such blemishes. You could contain that thing inside. I'll offer fair warning, the vessel may itself be weak, but it's much empowered by that force within. To claim its role requires strength of some magnitude. Prepare yourself well before attempting the task. Prepare well, but don't dally. Were the vessel to break prematurely, that plague would unleash with rage and power built of ages chained. So it can access a mind, then the seal shall break before its blade. Fragment of a white charm cannot be equipped, but it costs 5 notches. If it somehow were to be equipped. Well, next up, we have to get the other half of that charm. Again, this is all going towards the true ending. And where we are going to do that is a place that we passed by many, many times. Usually en route to like the Abyss or something else. Or something else in the basin. So, she drops that Hornet is also known as the gendered child. In contrast to the knight and the other vessels who possess no gender. Because remember, the circumstances of Hornet's birth are quite different. She actually has a mother in Hera. Also mentions that the Hollow Knight was tarnished by some kind of idea instilled in it. It's not a perfect vessel, and that's why... Oh, I forgot about these dudes! I forget what they do! These are they called white molds or king's molds? One of the two. Essentially royal guards. They are shades contained within this brilliant white armor. But that's why the knight is leaking the infection of the Radiance. It's not a perfect vessel. It's not perfectly empty. And we're gonna find out a little bit more about that in the White Palace. Which is kind of an infamous level. I do enjoy the aesthetics of this place. I enjoy the level overall. Oh, the White Lady's voice, by the way, is William Pellin's, the co-creator's mom. She did Marmu, too. So, from here on until the end of the White Palace, maybe switching over to this post-commentary style. Hello, everyone. It's nice to actually be recording this after the LP is finished. I got done recording the final episode, which involves doing the final Pantheon. The Pantheon of Hallownest. Just a little while ago this morning. And, ooh, I was ready for that to be done, because that sucks. We are on something way more fun, though. Which is the White Palace. And I mentioned, I think in the episode, that this is sort of an infamous level. The reason for that being is not only that it's really hard, a lot of things in Hollow Knight are pretty hard. This is particularly difficult, and it's without warning, and what makes it difficult is that it's a precision platforming level. And that really comes completely out of nowhere, so I get why people dislike this. It's not only hard, it's a hard platforming level, and there is no amount of, like, forewarning that you get for it. And I would say that the platforming up to this point in the game has been really, really light. There hasn't been a lot of difficult platforming. There hasn't been a lot of testing of your platforming skills. Not a lot of ways in which you can really get prepped for what is coming up in the White Palace. And then all of a sudden, they just go. They go from 0 to 100 in here. So it makes sense that people are not super jazzed about having to do this for the true ending. Nobody knew that there was going to be like a Meat Boy-esque level just, oh, hey, suddenly here. I think the main game does a poor job of preparing you for this level. That being said, I love the White Palace. Aside from the lack of you know, warning that you were about to, at some point in the game, get this super challenging platforming level, I think it's super well designed. Also, suddenly saw blades. I think as far as precision platforming levels go, this is a really good one. And it makes sense because the movement of Hollow Knight is just so on point. You have so many good movement abilities and movement options. There are all the double jumps, the pogoing, the wall climbing, the air dashes, all this stuff. That, yeah, of course, like a precision platforming level is gonna feel good. And then on top of it, all of the platforming areas and the challenges are just well designed. It's hard as hell. It's really, really difficult. But it's very rewarding, very fun. It's also a little bit unforgiving. You get checkpoints here and there in the form of benches, but they're kind of infrequent. And it's a rather long level, so you can definitely wind up losing significant amounts of progress dying. And you're almost certainly going to die every now and then, especially on a first go-through. Even on this run, I think I died twice, which is amazing considering I died once in Path of Pain, but I was way better prepared for Path of Pain. As far as, like, having a good charm setup goes. which is to say you can mitigate some of the punishment and the threat of dying just by going into this with certain charms like Hive Blood, the Grub Song, which gives you soul on taking damage, can be really helpful for that. But just Hive Blood by itself really mitigates any threat of dying. It just means that you have to slow down on some of your attempts. I think I wound up using that for Path of Pain, which is an optional, super hard area. That's, from start to end, it's like 5 minutes long. Done perfectly, but it's so substantially more difficult than anything else in the White Palace. The White Palace is kind of like a near late game Meat Boy level, except stretched to great length. Path of Pain is much more like a Kaizo Mario level. It's rough. But all this to say that a death in the White Palace is really costly. This area is 20 or 30 minutes long, and you get very few of these benches or even opening up shortcuts to catch back up once you die. Which, yeah, that's gonna happen. There are goddamn buzzsaws all over the place. It's just buzzsaws and spikes everywhere. And you can kind of see why I'm doing this in post-commentary and heavily editing this. Because this episode would be like an hour long of just the White Palace, just watching me occasionally run into buzzsaws and spikes. For the Path of Pain video, which is going to be a separate intermission video, that'll also be pretty heavily edited, but I'll include some more of the failure and progression attempts. I'm not doing that for the White Palace because, honestly, I've already done this once before. The Path of Pain is going to be my first ever attempt at that level, that video. This is mostly just me kind of relearning White Palace. And also relearning where the hell to go. Plus, it's such a long level that, like, you don't want the entire unedited, unabridged set of attempts. You don't want this to be like an hour-and-a-half penultimate episode of Let's Play Hollow Knight. I would think. That would get pretty tedious to watch, I think. This is a fun little jump here. I think we still have some of the hardest parts of the White Palace coming up. And this one's dash off the edge, and then double jump midair. Is this the part that I struggled with a bunch when I streamed Hollow Knight the first time? I'm trying to think of how long the White Palace actually took me back then. I think it was about an hour and a half. I think it took about an hour and a half to complete this level my first time. May have been closer to 2, actually. Yeah, it was a substantial chunk of the game. And a lot of this just comes down to patience and timing. Oh, I did leave some of the failed attempts of these in, as I'm rediscovering. Oh, this saw blade part right here is, I think, my least favorite part of White Palace. I'm so bad with these, and then the end of it is the hard part. Like, this is not too bad. It's the end that messes me up. And I can't believe I got that quickly. And I got really paranoid right there. When I get to just go, when I get to just hit the gas and rely purely on muscle memory, everything is fine. When I have to sit there and be like, okay, wait, I have to go right now. That's when things go wrong. I get too into my own head. But when I can just hit the gas, when I can just floor it through a level, I make surprising progress on, like, really difficult sections kind of quickly. That's what I was finding through Path of Pain. And there's still one or two more timing sections in White Palace that really managed to mess me up. It's honestly another major difference between White Palace and Path of Pain that almost makes the Path of Pain more difficult but way less punitive. Is in Path of Pain you get these soul totems. By the way, I think you access Path of Pain from this room at the bottom. The bottom left, there's a breakable wall. There are soul totems in Path of Pain that give you endless soul energy. They never run out. And they give them to you fairly frequently, so there's more checkpointing in there. Probably because it would be complete horseshit if they were not so liberal about doing so. Whereas the White Palace is a little bit easier, so they can kind of afford to punish you a little bit more to make up for it. It's not going to be nearly as difficult or soul-crushing to get back to where you were if you die, like in the middle of the White Palace. And then for something coming up here, I remember during the stream everybody saying that I was doing it the hardest way possible, and I'm not exactly sure what I did to make it so much harder on myself. Is this right here. What was I... Oh, I remember what I was doing. I was not abusing the pogo mechanic here. I was dashing straight through and double jumping to the other side instead of just pogoing off the spikes. Which I'm not even sure if that's the intended way to get through that, but I don't know. Pogoing certainly makes that a lot easier. And also, it's good practice for Path of Pain. They really make you utilize the pogoing stuff a lot more heavily in Path of Pain. And somehow managed to make it through that. At least opened up the shortcut on 1 health. I think I did wind up dying shortly after that, because the hard part for me is coming up right here. Oh, nope, not quite. Luckily, the shortcut saves you some time. For that, you have to perfectly align yourself along that notch on the wall, in that line. And then that's really mean. That's one of the most mean-spirited things in the entirety of the White Palace. It's so cruel. So this part, I remember the first time I did the White Palace having the hardest part right here. This is really difficult to time out. And then, on top of that, you have this. So it goes up, down, and then there's a pause when nothing is coming out. So you're going for the gaps right here-ish. So you have two super challenging timing sections right in a row, back to back. And you're not even done at that point. This is coming up to the end of the White Palace, but we're still not there yet. Because it's yet more timing-focused challenges. I jumped just a little bit too early, and they put you back near the top. They don't make you redo the hallway, but this vertical shaft? Oh yeah, you're redoing all three of those. Yeah. I almost died again. So it's really well designed, it's just hard and just blindsides you. The level itself is well designed, the signposting that it's coming, and that you really need to have your platforming skills on point, not so much. Oh, I did die, great. That's the shortcut I opened up after I died. I don't remember if I even wind up using this. No, I did. Okay. I think that might actually skip a little bit. Because there's another way you can get around that. Oh no, I'm on the verge of dying again. Oh, I got it way closer than I thought I did. And then just got real paranoid about this one. Again, line yourself up with a notch. And go. Now, I don't think I died a third time, but let's find out. Oh, I got real nervous here. I know that much. Oh, I had to have been sweating bullets at this point, because this is very close to the end, and this makes me paranoid seeing this. And you're going in blind, so you have no choice but to just have faith that they're not going to put a sudden wall of spikes right in front of you. And I did not have that faith. But there's nothing else you can do at that point. You just have to go and trial and error it. There's a void or something leaking out of the eyes of this king's mold. I think we're at the end of the platforming bits of the White Palace. So, future Dave is going to be departing, and we're going to go back to past Dave? Present Dave? One of them. Whichever Dave was around live recording this and not doing post-commentary. No cost too great. This is the Pale King, who has the other half of the King's Soul. Did you notice the horns dop his crown? Soul of Worm, Soul of Root, Heart of Void. The Worm, the Pale King, the Root, the White Lady. Heart of Void. Well, we're not quite done with the White Palace. I'm going back in for the Path of Pain. See you in a bit. We're gonna make one more Super Dash trip through here. And since we have the entire King's Soul charm now, there is yet one more thing to do down in the abyss. We are gonna take the completed King Soul down to the very bottom. And in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the death mechanic, since it sort of comes into play here, especially in the Abyss with all the siblings. So during an interview way early in development, Team Cherry was asked, how are you going to handle the player dying? To which they went, oh, it'll be a surprise. They then realized, oh, we didn't think about that. What they knew was they wanted you to travel back to where you died and maybe crack the mask open to get your Geo back. Then they thought it should be possessed by an enemy and fight you. Kind of like a hostile hermit crab. And that eventually turned into the idea for the Shade. Which we find plenty of down here in the Birthplace. This secret area that opens up once you complete the King Soul. Just when you thought they couldn't make an area creepier than the Abyss itself, they nestle this away in the Abyss. Look at this. A reflection in this black egg. Allowing us to dream nail ourselves. No cost too great. So these are the memories of the night, or the dreams of the night, something to that effect. No mind to think. No mind to think. No will to break. No voice to cry suffering. Born of God and void. See that moment of hesitation as the Hollow Knight walks off with the Pale King? Shall seal the blinding light that plagues us. You are the vessel. You are the Hollow Knight. That moment of hesitation and that dialogue. That is why the Hollow Knight is imperfect. Tarnished by an idea instilled. An emptiness that was hidden within, now unconstrained, unifies the void under the bearer's will. This charm is part of the bearer and cannot be unequipped. Takes up no notches and we can't take it off. And it makes the shades wither. They don't attack us, they can't hurt us. Unifies the void under our will. It is a symbol of perfect emptiness. The Hollow Knight had a connection to the Pale King, almost like a father-son relationship. It had the hopes of the kingdom instilled in it. It was to be a hero, and that tainted it, that made it imperfect, that gave it an emotional connection. It was not perfectly empty. They were not empty. And so the Radiance leaked out. But our knight, the knight, can be that perfectly empty vessel. That little moment of hesitation tells you so much. And this time, when we come back to the Temple of the Black Egg, we can see Hornet. Could it achieve that impossible thing? Should it? The path is open one way or another, and an end awaits inside. I won't be joining you in this. That space is built to sustain your likes. Its bindings would drain me were I to join. Don't be surprised. I'll not risk my own life in your attempt, though if the moment presents it, I'll aid as I am able. Ghost of Hallownest, you possess the strength to enact an end of your choosing. Would you supplant our birth-cursed sibling, or would you transcend it? She's even here reminding us that we have a choice in how this goes down. So last time, we supplanted the Hollow Knight and became the new vessel to contain the Radiance and her infection. Now that we come here with the Void Heart, which is what's going to trigger the next two endings, or enable us to. So this is going to be the first of the true endings. Or rather, I should say the first alternate ending. This one involves Hornet coming in and subduing the Hollow Knight for a second. Otherwise, it plays out pretty similarly to the first ending, in which we took everything inside of us and became the new Hollow Knight. Except this time, Hornet is knocked out on the floor. So that's pretty similar to the first ending, except Hornet's seal is now on our temple. But this time, let's try dream nailing the Hollow Knight. Look at this. Challenge. Was hoping to get this on the first try, but... Oh, the Radiance was always a really hard boss. Let's see if second try is a charm. So everything's gonna do 2 damage, except falling into the floor. The Radiance is the true final boss of the base game. And she likes to just fill the screen with stuff. This is a good sign. We're on to the second phase. This is just going to be a lot of the spikes raining down. I'm trying to push her out of this phase. Mostly clean. These tendrils of the void, gathering in a black mass at the bottom of the screen, drag her down. But she escapes. We have seen the Radiance before. That statue at Hallownest's crown depicts the Radiance, the progenitor of the Moth tribe. Once forgotten, and the memories slowly came back. And seeped out as the infection. I love the 2 bosses in the game that get their full screen title cards. Her and Nightmare King Grim. Fuck. Yeah, just because this isn't the hardest boss in the game anymore does not mean that she isn't still really hard. I think we're on to the final phase. Yup. There are even some void buddies floating behind us, some shades. Rising up with us. And that's the shade of the Hollow Knight. With the awakened Dream Nail and the void unified under our will, we're able to do that.